Hey Valerie, how you doing? I've got your work up right here, and I want to talk a little bit about your presentation. I honestly I think you're really super underdeveloped here. Let's jump over here. You did a great job showing where the location is and describing a few things about it, but I think you really need to point more to research. This class is a lot of research, and one of the objectives of the class is to show how you can apply your research to your visual solutions in creating sign and symbol based on a multitude of factors um, regarding the host city. Okay, so basically, let me just go through this real quick, and then I'm going to show you some examples. I'm going to give you some recommendations, and I'll show you some areas that have some really great resources that you can use. Excuse me. Okay, so you say Almaty, Kazakhstan is your location, but you see this it was a contender for a location, and this should give you a lot of research back there if that was actually a location. um, uh, the second reason is for choosing Albany is its location. The climate and natural snowing conditions absolutely scream for the Winter Olympics to be held here. So, I mean, that's not enough, boy. I mean, there's a million places on Earth that have the adequate weather conditions. Okay, so you really have to point to some much deeper research. It is the vision to host the need for building special arenas is minimal because most areas needed for competition are already in place. Tell us about that. Okay, because that's a major consideration is building some of the venues that are needed. Not only the venues that are needed for the sporting events, but also the house the all of the millions of people that will converge on this location for a event of this magnitude. Okay, so what I really need you to do is really point to some research and give examples instead of saying, this is what I found. Give examples saying, this is what I found, and here are the facts behind that statement. The road repair to keep traffic flowing between the competitions, you would definitely need to expound on that as well. Then you go into saying economics is another reason. This is good. Again, expound on that. And then you just kind of end abruptly. So let me just tell you where I'd like you to go moving into your final presentation for this assignment, which is due, I think, next week. Okay, I want you to talk about the weather. The weather is very important. Now, also talk about the venues for sporting events and the ceremonies. Are there venues pre-existing, or do they need to be updated, et cetera, et cetera? Accommodations for athletes, coaches, and media in nearby venues. Considerations for athletes' families. Where are they going to stay? Are there enough hotel rooms? Are there enough hotel rooms in neighboring areas? And if so, is there a good transportation infrastructure in between the neighboring areas and your host city? Um, is the location easily navigable? And is there affordable transportation? To get from location to location. Is it affordable and is it easy to do? Excuse me one second. So sorry, I was just outside and the pollen today is really bad. Excuse me. Okay, also a couple of other things. What does the energy infrastructure look like? Does this location have enough on the power grid to be able to accommodate, several million people converging on the location? Not only the power grid, but also cell towers. Is there enough? Is that infrastructure advanced enough to handle the amount of communication that will be going on during those 2 weeks? What's the nightlife like? What is the nightlife like? What are people going to do when they go out at night? Do you see what I'm saying? Are there restaurants? Are there enough restaurants? Are there enough night locations, movie theaters, nightclubs, restaurants, etc., etc.? Are they easily accessible? And is the transportation reliable? Public safety. How are people going to be protected when they're out? How is the public safety in Kazakhstan? Remember, in the last, I think it was the Rio Games, one of the big concerns in the Rio Games was the fact that the public safety was horrible, and people were literally in fear for their lives, and not to mention their lives, but also of the absolute reality of getting robbed, which many people did. So there was a lot of crime at that particular game. Talk about the cultural heritage of your location. See how you can use that to encode some symbolic meanings in your visual representations for the games. Environmental sustainability. How is Kazakhstan in terms of environmental sustainability? That's a hotbed topic that would really need to be addressed. Social issues and equality. A lot of talk about Beijing being one of the host cities because they suppress, of all the controversy that goes on in China. The communication infrastructure, I talked about that. The political climate, is there any impending conflicts in the area that could theoretically or interfere with this event? Medical accommodations. Are there enough hospitals? Are there enough emergency centers? Are there enough clinics? And remember, there will be several million people coming and converging on this location. So these things all have to be natural disasters. Are there any natural disasters that are in this area that could prevent a successful event? Pollution. What's the pollution like? Is it enough that it would be considered just like Beijing? The pollution in Beijing is horrible. You see people wearing those masks. So that would be a consideration. Then at altitude, is it, and then the carbon footprint that the Olympic, that it would leave. So I want to draw your attention over here. I'm just going to jump over here to the announcements area. I want to show you a couple of things right here. Example of final project for the class. Here's an example. I want you to open that. That's secured, so you can't read this disclaimer here too. It's just academic honesty. And then take a look at that. Study it and take a look at it. This was an excellent presentation. It's a good example of the final presentation for this project. And then considerations for Olympic host city. Here is several paragraphs on things that you can consider. And then I also left I left 5 really good resources there, so you can jump in there and start doing some more research to find out exactly what is really is needed for a presentation like this. Okay. Any questions, comments, or other, please feel free to let me know. Okay. Thanks.